Welcome back. The history of protest in the United States has a proud tradition that includes civil rights for African Americans and the anti-Vietnam War movement. Andy's campaign is not of that magnitude yet, but he's working on it.
This wall is a tribute to ordinary people who has stood up against injustice, tyranny, whatever they believed was something that was taking America in the wrong direction. They stood up against it. In their small way, they were able to make a difference. Collectively, when you have a lot of small people making little differences together, they make a huge amount of difference. It's like a waterfall. You know, every droplet of water added together creates a roar. And these people are little droplets of water in a democracy that is rich and vibrant and can make a huge impact to the world and to the people that live in it.
I met my wife Marjan back in 1983. It was the beginning of the Iran-Iraq War. And it was interesting because that's sort of what brought us together. I'm being an Iraqi, she being an Iranian. We sort of teased each other that we're supposed to be enemies of one another. We ended up falling in love and getting married. Shows you that people, no matter where they come from, are human beings first before they have a nationality. And love can surpass and overcome any differences in nationalities or politics. I remember in the lead up to the Iraq War, there was a big gathering of activists. People were introducing themselves, and suddenly there was this one woman named Medea Benjamin that I knew. She got up and she says, "I'm starting an organization called Code Pink."
When George Bush started announcing the color-coded alerts, we felt there needed to be another alert, a pink alert saying the best way to be secure in the world is to abide by international law and to promote peace, and we've been trying to promote peace and stop war ever since.
I caught wind of an arms fair that the U.S. Army was having in Congress. They set up these little tables of displays and have members of Congress walk around and ooh and ah over some of the technology that's being developed.
We feel like this technology here is being made to kill people instead of technology being made to love people. We think that the arms here are being used to kill, where God or whoever you think created us made our arms to hug people and to love people. Yes. These arms are made for hugging, and that's just what they'll do. Today these arms are gonna flash off hugs all over you.
Code Pink came up with this idea of the shoes. This box here represents the cost of the war in human lives. There are hundreds of thousands of Iraqis that have died, oftentimes nameless. We don't seem to really pay too much attention other than the statistics. We see, you know, so many people got killed in this bombing or that shooting or whatever. But you never see the names, and you never see who these people are. Every name has a history and a story behind it. And some of the names are listed here on this box that is full of shoes. And these shoes are just a small representation of the number of Iraqis that have died in this war. Code Pink asked me if they could put this in front of my place because you need special permits for this type of thing to put it out on the sidewalk. And I said, sure, bring it here and we'll see if anybody complains. And sure enough, it's been here for a few months now and no one has complained about it because I think people do understand the importance of this. In fact, even a city council member who came by and jokingly says, "Do you have a permit to have this?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "I won't tell." This is just one small effort to get the word out, to let people know that there are human beings in Iraq that are impacted in a very, very adverse way by this war.
Everyone makes the world the way it is, even you. Everyone makes the world the way it is. Everyone makes the world the way it is. Everyone makes the world the way it is, even you.
Up there. Well, I actually heard you speaking when you were doing it.
Once you're done with the march, you want to go back and talk to friends and
and sort of celebrate your successes.
7 to 9 is DC Poets Against the War, and we're all invited.
Welcome. I'd like to welcome all of you. To the DC Poets Against the War reading. We have poets here from across the country and from DC and all about who've come to read their poems tonight, and we have a really exciting night of poetry for you. My cousin died in Iraq, and it took the government almost 3 weeks to send his body back.
How many revolutions in the world were started from a cultural perspective through poetry?
You know, I never wrote a poem until I went to Iraq. You know, I never thought I'd be the type of person that would write a poem.
Poetry to me is the essence of humanity. It's the essence of our soul. When people recite a poem, they dig much, much deeper because they have to find just the perfect word to be able to describe their thoughts and their minds or their ideas or their spirit.
The limbs may stink of new rubber, the city of its guilt, plotting the moment when the mother must finally let go her son's hand.
Mothers cry, sons die, bullets fly, we wonder why. Look at the sky, let's make this world a better place, we gotta try. To all the fallen soldiers, we hope y'all resting in peace. We all God's children, somebody pray for us, please.
The belligerent voices are yelling in the streets and on the radios, calling for the big bombs of peace to fall. The smart bombs, the bombs that have passed their college entrance exams.
Poetry is very cathartic also. It's cathartic for the people that are listening to it, and sometimes it's more cathartic to the person that's reading it.
But can't imagine the memories that I'm forced to see, because what's simple for them is a nightmare to me. You turned those kids into flames. You murdered families. That can never be changed. Put the gun in your mouth and make it go bang. Remember that day in the park watching those kids play? You're the one that blew off their legs and their faces. My head is spinning now, and I don't know what to say other than, Lord, please forgive me on Judgment Day.
I want to have a poets' uprising on the White House lawn. I want to have heartfelt, sometimes tearful talks with people that care about human rights issues. I mourn for America still. I want to listen to people who don't think world peace is a radical idea. I want to learn how to return this country to the roots of respectability. I want Dick, George, and Donald to face their butcher's bill. Truth and poetry belong in the people's ears.
I have a lot of relatives that live in Iraq. The Iraq War has been going on now for 4 years, and the lives of so many people have been decimated. My Aunt Samira, who lives in Baghdad, who I speak with on a regular basis, said that Iraq has become unlivable.
2 nights ago, my aunt had called, Aunt Samira, and she said, I wish that a bomb would drop over our house so we don't have to wake up tomorrow morning. And that was such an emotional sort of jolt for me to be able to hear it and be able to repeat it to a group. I've repeated it a few times privately so I could say it to people without breaking down. I've done good.
In my mind, at every demonstration I go to, at every conversation that I have with Congress, and every time that I speak out publicly, my Aunt Samira sits on my shoulder and reminds me of why I do this.
Whenever we talk to people back in Iraq, relatives, we're afraid to ask how things are, because right now we know what the answer is and we know we can't do anything about it. And it's a very, very difficult place to be in that you are here in America, basically the aggressor, and they're there in Iraq, and you feel helpless. You feel like you need to do something, you need to say something, you need to make something happen. The only way I know how to do that is to stand out and protest, stand out and let people know that I don't agree with the policies of Bush and this administration. In a democracy, the people are the true leaders and the leaders are just supposed to follow. And so I make it a point not to remain silent, because silence sometimes means complicity. And when leaders see the people that they're leading as being silent, they assume they agree with the ideas and thoughts that they have put forth.
And I, like you, refuse to remain silent
In the face of torture, I refuse to remain silent while people are being extradited. I refuse to remain silent while elected officials flaunt the rule of law. I refuse to remain silent unless there is justice and fairness throughout the world.
Since the start of the war, it's estimated that more than 4 million Iraqis have fled the country, mainly to neighboring Syria and Jordan. Refugees International, an aid organization based in Washington, claims the US government has admitted fewer than 800 Iraqi refugees since the invasion began. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time on Witness.